Brendan, how would you assess the challenge in front of you this weekend?
Yeah, listen, any final is always a challenge, and obviously a Celtic Rangers final. It's a great occasion, but for us, it's really focusing on our game and how we can win the game.
Does it change it at all, given who you're playing? Given it's been a while since the two teams met in the final of this competition, does that add something to the mix?
Well, certainly to the occasion, it can do, but from a football perspective, no. There's no different approach to this game than to the other 4 games we've had in the league. You know, we want to impose ourselves in the game. Our intention is to win the game. So our game plan and our preparation is all built towards that.
We've spoken before about your record in this fixture, but generally speaking, it feels like there's an element of control almost within this game when the two sides meet. Do you feel that your group have got the edge over Rangers at the moment? Even if it's a psychological element, there's a sense that you go into this game feeling you won't lose.
No, you could never have that arrogance. It's not how we work. It's not, you know, we have a humility in how we work. We respect every opponent that will play, whether it's Rangers or Wraith or whoever. You know, we have to prepare for the game. We come into the game in the ideal condition. I don't think there's any doubt in that. We've been on fire the last few months, playing really well. Lots of challenges for us at the beginning of the season. You know, playing every 3-4 days whenever really important players are missing. So that was a challenge. But I think over the course of, as the season is built up and then into the pressure moments of the season, the players have been absolutely superb in how they've dealt with that. So we arrive having won the league in a really, really good way, playing well. So we come in a real good condition for the game.
How much satisfaction would you take on delivering the second trophy, given the issues you've had to deal with this year and given maybe the change across the course of the season? How much would it mean to you to have 2 bits of silver at the end of the campaign?
For me personally, clearly satisfaction would be suffice, but it's more what you give other people. It's, you know, for the supporters, it's everything. You know, they live their life for Celtic and especially a Celtic Rangers game. So to be able to deliver that for them would be great. The players for the rewards of how their discipline has been this season. You know, discipline is one of the key elements of not just the football on the pitch, but off the pitch. You know, we stayed very focused, stayed true to our game and how we want to work, and then that is the players have got the rewards as the season has gone on for that. So for me, yeah, it would add another trophy, but it's always been more the satisfaction that other people would get for it.
Is there a motivation there as well, and being unbeaten against your rivals across a full season? It doesn't happen all too often.
No, just motivations to win the game.
Would this be a real sort of icing on the cake, you know, this trophy, getting it in the bag after getting the league title as well?
Yeah. Well, it's you know, the Scottish Cup is a historical competition, and we would every time we come here to Hampden, we want to win the big games and the big competitions, and so yeah, it would finish off a double for us, which would point to a really good season.
Brendan, how is the squad looking ahead of Saturday's game?
Yeah, in good condition. I think obviously with Welshie with his shoulder, but he's trained in the last few days. Everyone else, we've just gone through all our preparation and fitness-wise, all in a good place.
And you seem to have quite a special relationship with Hampden, given the success you've had here. What do you put that down to?
I think everything suits us here. I think you come to Hampden. The pitch it's a big pitch. It's in the main. It's always in good condition. It's fast, and we like to play a fast attacking game. So, but also I think when I first came here, I said about if you want to win and be multiple winners, you have to enjoy playing at Hampden. So, so when we've arrived here, we know that the surface should suit our game, and we can have a chance to go and demonstrate our football.
And one of the few Old Firm games that will have a 50-50 fan split. Is that an atmosphere you look forward to being involved in?
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to that, of course, and to next season when whenever at least we have a small percentage of supporters in the games, because that it always adds. It's what makes this game, even though they have been incredible, the atmospheres in both stadiums without supporters, but the better combination is when both are there. So I think it should make for a wonderful spectacle, hopefully a very good game, and that's what we're preparing for.
How impressed by the mentality of the players have you been, Brendan, specifically recently? It's that winning mentality that you've spoken about. You could see it coming, and what's that now? 10 out of 11 matches you've won last stretch.
Yeah, well, I think it tells everything that in the circumstances of what the players were in, that how we could perform under the pressure. And I think if you look at the Kilmarnock game in particular, that's a game to win a title, which can be edgy on a difficult surface. We were absolutely outstanding in that game. The level of our game, the football that we played, how we tactically got through, a really, really well organised team that have proven to be very difficult for ourselves included. But it showed you the level that the team is at and the concentration in the team. So yeah, there's been lots of pressure moments throughout the season, and none more so in this last couple of months. And it's in those moments this team has stood up. So that makes me very proud.
And it's been alluded to as well that this place seems to bring out the best in the team, doesn't it? I think you've won your last 10 Scottish Cup finals.
Well, got another one to win.
Brendan, how pleased were you for James Forrest yesterday, news of him being called into the Scotland team?
Yes, yeah, really pleased for him. I spoke to him this morning, so he's had to get his money back on that holiday that he'd booked. So, but delighted for him. What I love about the Scottish boys up here, James and Cal and all those guys, and all my time up here in Scotland working with these players, and I've been in other clubs before where other nationalities, you get one or two that maybe want to pull themselves out. Every one of these guys are so proud to play for Scotland. They all want to go. And for James, I could see the smile on his face. It's absolutely brilliant for him. I think it's great for Scotland as well, because you get someone of that talent and that quality who's really hit form at the right time for Celtic and clearly for Scotland as well. So yeah, delighted for him. Steve knows what he'll get from James. I've seen him my first spell up here, where he was absolutely outstanding for me at club level and in the national team, scoring hat-tricks. Maybe hasn't featured so much over the last numbers of years as what he would have liked, but what he's always shown is he has that quality that's required, and certainly at international level I'm sure he'll be able to help Scotland. So yeah, delighted for him and the other Celtic boys.
Did you feel over the course of this season he could still hit the levels that he hit during your first time here?
Yeah, it's just an interesting one. I'd obviously look back and over the last few years, not just this year, but James was an important member of the squad, but maybe wasn't the starter that he once was. And so if you look at Abada, Liel and Daizan, these were guys that were in front of him, Jota. So it looked like that he still had a very, very important part to play, even though the game time might not be so much. And then obviously then we start this season again, where he has been on the sort of periphery at the beginning because of those players. But then when Liel obviously moved on and the likes of Daizan's maybe are injured, the new guys were given the opportunity to come in. But I've always felt, and I always said, that he's a top class player. And then as the season went on and as I'd seen him more in training, I then have to make a decision, and the decision was that for the team and for us as a club, I know what I'm going to get from James. I'm going to get that high level quality. He can look after the ball, he can create a goal and score a goal, and maybe the deficiencies he has in his game now, because he's a bit older, we have to try and deal with that in other areas. But I can't sit here and say at the beginning of the season that he was definitely do what he's doing now, but I know his talent. And I'm so happy that he's been able to demonstrate that and at the perfect time.
James has obviously got a great record out there, a kind of big game player as well. Does that help you at this time? And also maybe Steve Clark in the summer as well, knowing he can produce at the highest level when it matters most.
Yeah, and that was certainly for myself one of the key elements of bringing him back into the team. I knew what I was going to get, and he's played in big games, makes the big contributions, and normally in big games he scores big goals. So yeah, absolutely delighted for him, because he's such a humble guy. He's just worked hard every single day, just waiting for the moments and waiting for the opportunities. And thankfully when they came, you can see where he's elevated the team.
Brendan, when you've got players like James and Callum and all these serial winners, when you're coming into this part of the season, the crunch bit, winning the title, going into the Scottish Cup final, is it almost possible to relax as a manager, knowing that that's what you're getting, and you know you're going to have that inside your dressing room in all the games that really, really matter?
I wouldn't say relax. I wouldn't say, I would say that you still have to be super focused. There's no guarantee. But what you can and understand as a manager, you know what you're going to get, and that in pressure situations is invaluable. And that's why the likes of Callum, why he's a top operator, why James has been over many years as well. His trophy haul is absolutely incredible for this club, as is Callum's. And but yeah, I wouldn't quite say relaxed, but I would definitely say I have an assurance of what I'll get from them, and of course I know I've got I can put my faith with them.
Just in Scotland again, Brendan Anthony getting in there, a great opportunity for him with the kind of injuries. He's somebody who comes in and never lets Celtic down, does it, when he gets a chance in the same in Scotland?
No, never. He'll feature more for me next season. I think that part of this season was obviously Ali was the first choice. Tony had come in and played some games, and then and obviously Ali had been out for a while, so when he came back I needed to get him games to get him up to speed, and that meant that Tony hasn't played so much. But there's a few things with Tony. One, I know he's always ready, because if he's not playing in games, his training is the game. So he trains every day. His standard, his quality, his mentality is like that of a game. And that's why you can put him in against St Mirren in the last game of the season, and he's running up in the 90th minute, making a cross to score the winning goal. Why? Because he's trained himself. And that's why I never have the excuse for players that they need games and they need to be game ready. You do that in your training. And he's a wonderful example of someone who treats his training like it's a game. So then when he comes in, he's game ready. So for Scotland, I know they've got a couple of injuries, but even with those boys available, Tony is a great option for them, and he's played at the highest level. He's played in big games. He's played in Champions League games. He's a winner. He's got that mentality, and he would never let Scotland down ever.
Brendan, do you have a dilemma in the striking department? Because you brought Adam Reid in for Kilmarnock, he was outstanding. You brought Kyogo back, excellent against St Mirren. Is there any dilemma there? Are you just glad that you've got both of those options? Exactly that.
Yeah, it's what I wanted. I wanted two players that have top-end qualities that I can use in different types of games, or even which is whatever I choose to bring into that game. Adam, as you say, has been the real catalyst for us since he's come in. There's no question about it. Him coming in has elevated the team, as well as it's elevated Kyogo's game, because he has someone there who's a big talent and who's only going to get better. But just being able to put him in, to either to start a game or bring him into the game, and give Kyogo a rest, it's great to have that. So I just know that whichever one I play, or if I have to bring one off the bench, then they're ready.
Relaxed isn't the right word. What is the emotion? What does it feel like to be going into a game like this at the end of the season as the man responsible, the manager? What does it actually feel like? Not relaxed, obviously, but
it's just focus. I think we had a great celebration last weekend. I said to you guys it was also a work day for us, so we wanted to win the game, which was brilliant. The weekend overall for Celtic as a club was great, with the women's team clinching the league as well. So there was a real good feeling. But as I said to the players at the beginning of the week, Now we have to, you've had that relaxation, now we have to get focused. And we'll have to do the work. And the focus of the players and the work and the intensity has been at the highest level. So so I would say focus is the word. I said right the way through the season, we were calm. And that's how we work, it's our nature, but allows us to prepare in every detail for the games.
You can come into these games as favourites, but does VAR always add that unknown factor that you have to be wary of in all these games?
Well, I think anything where it's a one-off game, you know, it's the favourite tag doesn't really come into it in this, because you just never know what happened. You can lose a player, something can happen in the game. But our focus is just looking to bring our A game. And if we do that, then we're in a fantastic chance of winning. But yeah, it's in a one-off final that anything can happen, really.
Brendan, where does Callum rate among all the players you've worked with as a manager, and how key was his return at the start of April?
Well, it was critical. I think we've got other players that can play in that position and do a really good job. But we don't have anyone in the squad that has the view of the game as what he has. He's up there with the very highest level players I've worked with in terms of professionalism, his preparation. He's constantly thinking about the game, about the club, the performance. I've been so impressed by him as a leader, because when I was here the first time, we had other guys. He was one of the quiet leaders around the team. Brownie was obviously a big influence and was an absolutely immense captain. But coming back here and then seeing how Callum leads, it's been so refreshing, because he doesn't need to scream, he doesn't need to shout, he doesn't need to bawl. He inspires by what he does every single day, how he trains, how he prepares. And him coming back was absolutely critical for this team, because, like I said, his view of the game, we don't have many that see it like he does. So when he plays to the level, then of course that gets us through the pitch much quicker, and he's really inspirational.